There is a moment that doesn't arrive when you leave. It doesn't arrive in the conversation where things end. It arrives later, quietly, in an ordinary moment she was not prepared for. And in that moment, she understands something about what she had that she could not see clearly when she had it. This is not about making her regret losing you. Regret is not the point, and engineering it is not possible. This is for the man who wants to understand what actually creates irreplaceability in a woman's experience, because that understanding has everything to do with how you show up now, not after the ending. The first moment it arrives is when she meets someone who seems similar and realizes he is not. She is out. There is a man in front of her who is confident, interesting, present. The early signals are good. And at some point in that interaction, something surfaces that she is not expecting. A comparison that is not in his favor. Not because he is lacking in any obvious way. Because the specific combination of qualities she encountered in you, the particular texture of how you held yourself, the way you listened, the specific gravity of your presence, is not something she is finding in the man in front of her. Replaceability is something most people assume is possible until they try to replace something real. And the man who was genuinely himself, who did not perform or adjust or shape himself around her preferences, who brought a quality that was distinctly and unmistakably his, that man produces a standard she did not know she had set until she tries to find it somewhere else. The second moment arrives when something good happens, and her first instinct is to tell you. It is a reflex, something she barely notices until she catches it, a promotion, a piece of news, a moment she wants to share. And before she has thought about it, her mind has moved toward you, not because she is strategizing, because you were the person who made her feel genuinely seen when she spoke. And that specific quality of being truly heard by someone who was actually curious about her is rarer than she realized while she had access to it. Most men listen politely. They listen to respond. They listen while managing their own presence in the conversation. The man who listened to understand, who asked the question that told her he heard what she meant and not just what she said, that man leaves a specific absence when he goes. One she feels in the moments that should be shared. There is a video on this channel that covers what that quality of presence actually looks and feels like from her side. I will link it at the end. The third moment is the one she finds hardest to admit, even to herself. She sees you living well, not performing living well, actually building, moving, inhabiting a version of your life that has direction and warmth and forward motion. And she realizes that the man she knew, the one she was uncertain about, was not waiting, was not diminished by the ending, has not organized his life around her absence the way she quietly assumed he might. That realization lands differently than she expected, because somewhere, without examining it, she had assumed a certain amount of power in the dynamic. The assumption that your investment in her was something she could return to if and when she chose. And the man who is genuinely living, who has returned to himself and built forward, quietly removes that assumption. He was not on hold. He was already somewhere. The fourth moment is the quietest one and the one that stays longest. She is alone with a feeling she cannot quite name. Not sadness exactly. Something more specific. The particular texture of knowing that a version of being known, of being with someone who was genuinely present and genuinely himself, is not something she is currently experiencing. And the honest part of her, the part that is not managing impressions or protecting herself, acknowledges that she had it and did not fully understand what she had. That is the moment of irreplaceability, not the dramatic recognition, the quiet one. The one that arrives in the ordinary spaces of her life and sits with her without requiring a response. Here is what ties all four of these moments together. None of them are created by anything you do after the ending. They are the natural consequence of who you were during it. The man who was genuinely himself, who listened with real curiosity, who held his own direction without requiring her to validate it, who let go cleanly and built forward without bitterness. That man does not need to engineer her recognition. He produces it simply by having been real. And the version of yourself that produced that recognition is not something you leave behind with the relationship. It is something you carry forward into everything that comes next, into the next person who encounters you, into the version of your life you are still building. The man she cannot replace is not the one who made himself irreplaceable. He is the one who was simply, completely, irreducibly himself. And that is something you already are, or something you are becoming. Either way, it is enough. If this video gave you something valuable, this video is the natural next step. It goes into how a grown man lets go of someone he still loves without losing the thread of who he is in the process. It is on screen now. I will see you there.